Picture this, a massive brand new steel pipeline. It's engineered to handle incredible pressure, a multi-million-dollar piece of critical infrastructure. Now imagine it fails. Not from some huge explosion, but from an enemy so tiny you literally can't see it. So let's dive into this hidden world and figure out how microscopic life can bring solid steel to its knees.
And this quote, this really gets to the heart of the mystery, doesn't it? The damage is like a silent internal bleed. You look at the outside, everything seems totally fine, but underneath that surface, a destructive process is just hollowing out the steel's integrity, 1 millimeter at a time. So yeah, that's the big question. What is this Phantom Menace? What could possibly wage such a devastating and secretive war on one of the strongest materials we use? Well, let's start the investigation. All right, first up, let's examine the crime scene. We're going to look at the aftermath of this silent sabotage to really understand the nature of the attack. Just look at the difference here. It's pretty shocking. From the outside, you've got a pipe surface that looks pristine, totally ready for service. But then you look inside and, wow, it's a battlefield of deep, really aggressive pits. This is what makes the whole thing so deceptive. The danger is completely hidden until it's way too late.
So who's our culprit? It's not a flaw in the manufacturing. It's not some chemical spill. The saboteur is a living organism. It's time to unmask these microscopic bad guys.
Meet sulfate-reducing bacteria, or SRB for short. These are the masterminds of our story. They are tiny microorganisms that absolutely love places where there's not much oxygen. So, think of stagnant water that's just been left sitting inside a pipe after pressure testing. For them, that's the perfect breeding ground.
And just like any good crime syndicate, SRB have different families, and each one has its own specialty. So think of this as our police lineup. You've got Desulfobobreo, kind of the common field operative you'd find in pipelines. Then there's Desultomaculum, the tough one that can survive really harsh conditions. And finally, Desulbacter, the specialist that likes to hide out in low oxygen deposits.
Okay, now that we've identified our suspects, let's break down their MO. How in the world do these tiny organisms eat through solid steel? Well, it's a pretty sophisticated three-step chemical assault. Right, so here's how they do it. It's this multi-pronged attack that's so crucial. First, the bacteria literally steal electrons right from the iron in the steel. They use the pipe itself as an energy source. Second, they take sulfate that's in the water and turn it into super corrosive hydrogen sulfide. And third, they release acids that lower the pH and just dramatically speed up the whole pitting process.
So you see, it isn't just one thing. It's this powerful, corrosive cocktail all working together. And that is what allows a microscopic organism to systematically dismantle and basically consume industrial-grade steel from the inside out.
Now, this all sounds pretty dire, I know. But the good news is, this attack can be stopped. The key isn't trying to fight an active invasion, it's making sure the enemy never gets a foothold in the first place. So let's look at the defensive strategy. The point of entry, the Trojan horse, if you will, is very often the water they use for hydrotesting. That's a standard procedure where you fill a pipe with water under pressure to test its strength. But if that water isn't treated right, you're basically delivering the enemy directly to the target. Proving a pipe's strength is kind of pointless if you sacrifice its integrity in the process.
So, how do you defend against it? Well, the battle plan is a simple but super effective protocol. You start with intelligence gathering, check those water reports for SRB counts. Then you go on the offensive with effective biocides. And finally, you deny them a habitat by completely draining and drying the pipes and making sure they're properly preserved for the long term. And this powerful warning really puts it all into perspective. These bacteria, they don't care about your plans, your budget, or your deadlines. If you ignore them in your water report, they will for sure ignore your maintenance schedule.
This whole story is just a fascinating reminder that some of the most powerful forces of destruction are completely invisible to the naked eye. It really leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What other silent, microscopic battles are being fought all around us in places we'd never even think to look?